I'm Amy, and you're listening to the Creativity Matters podcast. Today on the Creativity Matters podcast, checking in on a Sunday.
You're listening to the CMP, a Creativity Matters podcast.
Stories of creative journey and a reminder that creativity matters in whatever form it takes for you.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Creativity Matters podcast. I'm Amy, and this is episode 431, Day by Day. And this is one of those really casual, informal, checking in, off the cuff, unscripted, I am who I am shows. In contrast to other shows that are a little more pulled together. It is a Sunday. We had been doing a lot of these shows. Back in the race to 400, the race to my birthday seems so long ago. My birthday seems so long ago. A little blip. Just a little blip in this year. A blip after a whole year of working towards the day. And then it was just a blip. Bip. 2020 has a lot of blips. Some of them bigger than others. Definitely. There's a texture to this year. We had been doing a whole bunch of these shows. And they all had draw-alongs. And man, I loved that. And some of you don't like it that I say man, but I do. I say guys, too. I don't know. So I kind of miss this kind of show. I was missing the other kind of show, too. And I am really glad to be doing some of the other kind of show. You're like, what is she talking about? But some of these shows sound a little different in terms of me being a little more pulled together. So today, I don't really have an agenda, but I do want to talk just a little bit about Illustrate Your Week. And I want to acknowledge that it has been a week. And I just want to check in on November, how things are going with you. So it is a Sunday, and Sunday is coffee in the CMP community, and it does happen. I forgot to set that up last night. I got it ready, and then I basically didn't push play. I didn't push do it. And the first thing I do when I wake up on Sunday typically is check in, see if people showed up. See if all the early risers on the East Coast showed up. And as soon as I opened the group, I realized that, oh yeah, I was really tired. I fell asleep. I didn't do it. I felt really bad. I think that has only maybe happened once before. So, Sunday coffee. My coffee is next to me and it's cold. The house was cold. The house was really cold. And it is a Sunday after a surreal week. Most of us have had a surreal week. Whether that's ups and downs for you or no matter what side of things you fall on. And I fully acknowledge that we are not all necessarily on the same side of things. That's not the point of this show. So anyway, it has been a week. It has been a long week. The days were weird. A lot of reloading of pages. Felt like everybody was just waiting. And through all of that, I was really glad to be working on hashtag Illustrate Your Week. And I don't know, maybe I really am shifting because I used all the prompts. I used the prompts. Can't say all. There is one scavenger tip that I didn't do. But I found that each night when I sat down, I pulled up the list and thought, okay, here's today's nudge. And I would do that. And then, because typically that's kind of small, it's small in comparison to some of the portrait work I do, I would either then draw a portrait, and I did several. I was really, inspired, jazzed, I don't know. I love the Brandi Carlile Instagram feed anyway, and there was a video of a duet between Brandi Carlile and Alicia Keys, and it was really beautiful. It was the night before the election, and I snapped a whole bunch of screenshots while I was watching it, and then tried to draw one of the pictures of both of them the next day. And I also drew Lady Gaga because I had been reading about a whole bunch of stuff that happened pre-election day. And when I went out I never actually saw the video and I didn't see her perform live that night. But when I went out to look it all up, I was captivated by some of the photos. She had a really cool mask on. And so I drew that. These were unusual things for me to draw. These are not sketchy pics, but it was really nice to do that. So I would do the daily prompt and then maybe a portrait. One day I decided to do a portrait and the prompt that day was hope, which I realized later had also been an Inktober Portraits prompt right at the end. But not everybody doing Illustrate Your Week did that. So I did pick hope that day specifically because of the day. And I found a portrait at Sketchy and I drew it small, and he had on a Keith Haring shirt and I just loved it and thought that was a perfect fit. That was a perfect fit that day for me for hope. So it doesn't always have to be that you're dredging your soul to put something on the page, but sometimes it can be. Totally. It can go either way. And I like that. So once I had done whatever the core prompt was, somehow nodded my head to it or really put it down and maybe or maybe not drew a portrait, then I would be like, okay, now what? I don't know what to do. I don't know what to draw. What should I draw? I have this space. What do I do? And I would look at the scavenger list and I looked at it over and over and it became my favorite thing in the week. It became my favorite thing in the week. I would pull it up and say, oh yeah. Okay, I've done that one. Oh, that's one I'm adding to every day. Oh, okay, that one. And it became this guide through the week, a way to help me fill space within a bit of a structure. And that was really a good process. So I filled a couple of pages, really happy with what I did. I have a couple cartoony like things in there, which is important to me. And last night, I still had a little bit of space on the spread, and one of the scavenger things I needed to do was a quote. I found a quote, and I had inked that in, and I still had some odd space, actually, over the fold between the two pages. There are still spaces. I could just really fill every little inch of my pages and be happy. But there was a space, and I was watching TV. I was watching the acceptance speech, and I heard some phrases and some lines, and I jotted things down, and I also then just doodled this flowery thing that grows, this kind of doodle that I like to do, and just filled in space, just kept my hand moving while I listened. And that to me is kind of the magic of the whole thing. On the next page, which starts this week actually, #IllustrateYourWeek, starts on Sundays. My pages roll through oftentimes weirdly. So sometimes I'm starting on a right-hand side. Sometimes I'm ready for a left-hand side, a full 2-page spread for a week. And I drew a portrait yesterday that I started on the page that will be for this week. And so last night I inked that, and that was a good process too. I'm happy to be back doing this. It is a nice way to bounce off of October and Inktober Portraits, able to use a bit more color, just randomly put things in. But I ticked off my boxes and I'm happy about that. So I think I will keep this super short. I think I will. I have a couple other little check-in things to mention, but I think I'll keep this really short. So I did post today already at Instagram, and I went ahead and posted in the Facebook group, but I'm really pushing these through Instagram. So I posted week 2, the daily prompts and the scavenger list. I consider those mix-ins. I call it a scavenger list. I consider it things you sort of find to include, but you might look at it and think, well, I don't have to find that. I just have to write it down. So they're mix-ins. They're things just to include. Sometimes it's just something to find in your week, and they don't need to be each day. You can do those whenever you want. The other list is really designed day by day. Gives you one thing a day to try to include, and you could include all kinds of other things. These are just little things that will help you fill your pages. I think partly when you're doing an illustrated journal, you get satisfaction in the process, and you get satisfaction at the end when you're able to look at your spread and it's kind of filled in. It has a collection of things that help you record your week and that make you happy to see. So you had to do it in order to reach that point. There's a doing. And you can do it with just a pen and paper. You totally can. If you're using just a loose leaf paper, you might even want to just draw a line down the middle and pretend that it's 2 pages. I think there's something mentally helpful in having the separate space. That might work. Or you could just draw a bunch of boxes or circles or any shape and work on filling things in that way. That can be a very helpful way to organize your space. And that's something that, if you really are loving the whole process, you want to keep thinking about how you box things in, make containers. They don't have to be boxes, but you know what I mean, how you frame things and what kind of things you do to bridge the page and how you make connections, how you get that overall look and feel that you might want. So those are at Instagram, both the day-by-day ones and the set of scavenger mix-in prompts for this week. And I am posting those on Saturdays, trying to. I don't want to do them farther than that in advance because I don't want people to do a whole week at a time. I know some people do, but I'm not posting them farther in advance than the day before. And that way, when you wake up Sunday morning, if you're the kind of person that loves to get up, get a cup of coffee, open your sketchbook and draw, that sounds really nice. I wish I was that person. That sounds really nice. If you do that, then the prompts are there. You can pull it up and you can say, oh, okay, today I need to do this. Some of them are not like the most meaningful and special of prompts in the world. Some of them are just quotidian things because sometimes I believe the things we include in our journals should be a record of just life. So again, gratitude is a theme for this month. And even if it's not something I'm injecting into every single prompt, I hope it is a theme in your journal. When you don't know what else to do something about gratitude or mindfulness, one or the other. I hope today you're having a big exhale. I hope that you're kind of glad that the week is behind us. It doesn't mean these next bunch of weeks may not be equally stressful. I think they might be. I think COVID life is also stressful. I think living in a world like this right now is stressful. And it's coming out in all kinds of ways. At the very beginning of the whole thing, I kept telling people to check in with one another. And to keep in mind that everyone is experiencing all of this very differently. But to check in, because you may not know how someone is really doing just by what they project, what they put out there, what they say publicly. You may not really know. And it is important to check in. It's really important to check in when you do know that something is wrong or that someone is in a challenging situation. I know how hard that is, and I know how much it can mean when someone does or doesn't check in. So check in with people. Assume positive intent. I don't know that I think 2020 is a great year to overreact to other people, to cut connections. I think 2020 should have been a year that brought people together. I hope you check in with other people. I really do. And be aware that sometimes when you check in, you might get silence in return, or you might get a little bit of what feels like a cold shoulder. Social dynamics are very hard, but you got to give it a try. It's part of being a person, and it's part of being human. It's part of reaching out and forging connections and friendships. And you want to nurture those friendships and those connections. And you want to let people know that you care, that you're concerned, that you're aware that this is a hard time for them. If there are ways you can help, whether that's dropping something off or sending something in the mail, just checking in every day with a text, getting together on Zoom to talk or to draw. If there are things you can do those connections can help all around, can make everyone involved happier. So, reach out. I don't know where along the way I stopped saying it. It's still true. We are in November. It is a month where we want to celebrate the things that make us happy, the things that carry us through our days, the things we believe and look forward to and hope for and remember. We want to be grateful and be mindful, be open. And we want to be in the moment and aware enough to be able to see what is right in front of us, to be able to see beyond whatever it is that makes us discontent or unhappy, unsatisfied. See the little glimmers of good, of hope and optimism, of connection rather than difference. So, reach out.
I am the art is me.
And that is it for an unplanned show. And maybe a very long reach out tangent. I am Amy. Thank you for joining me today. You can reach me at creativitymatterspodcast@gmail.com. The show notes are available on the creativitymatterspodcast.com website. You can find notes there, things that I talk about, tools that I use this time of year, lots and lots of little recommendations and little items that you might want to think about as a giftable thing for someone, or as you make your own little wish list. You should make your wish list. You should add some art things to your wish list. You really should. You know you want to, and you might not be able to go browse stores, so you can spend way too much time browsing somewhere like Amazon. And so I usually just throw some things in there that are fun to see and might spark your curiosity. It also helps the show, of course, when you click through and then begin your shopping that way. You don't have to buy that thing. So I hope you visit the website for that reason. There is a likelihood that I will start taking shows down again as I try and balance out how the show is doing right now with other things. So I think I'm going to have to start removing older shows. So that will be happening. Oftentimes it means a lot of things look broken. So that's a possibility. Thank you to those of you who support the show with Ko-fi or wish list things, Amazon purchases, or at Patreon, patreon.com/creativitymatters. You can find me at Instagram as OAmyOAmy and as Creativity Matters Podcast. It is on the Creativity Matters Podcast stream that I am pushing through the hashtag Illustrate Your Week prompts. I hope you follow there. I hope you follow me at OAmyOAmy to interact about our art, to share our art. And please do consider subscribing, it's free, at YouTube for the Creativity Matters Podcast channel. Subscribing there will help a lot in some of the things I'm trying to do right now as I consider what my next try it things might be. So please consider doing that. It's really easy. It doesn't obligate you to anything, but it will help. It will help me quite a bit. So that's my pitch for that for today. Until next time, remember that creativity matters in whatever form it takes for you. And don't forget to breathe. Have a good week, everyone.